You're now live on Facebook and YouTube.
Hello. Thanks for coming to this live read from my memoir, Incandescence, Rising Above Darkness. Really appreciate you being here for these virtual visits, which is what it feels like for me and hopefully for you, a way to connect with you no matter where you are. I want to thank you for being here, and I want to thank the Minnesota State Arts Board for awarding me a grant to do these live reads. Today is the last of 15 live reads in this series, and all of the previous ones, and including this one later, will be on my YouTube channel, The Creativity Show, or you can access them anytime and tell others the same thing, that they can access them anytime on incandescencebook.com. So today I'm going to read excerpts from the last 3 stories of the 52 stories in my memoir. And then we're going to show you the art that's before and after these 3 stories, some of them in original form, some of them in our prints that we make here at the Emerald Lady, that Bodhi, who's so great with technology, has learned to make giclée prints, museum quality, archival, inks, paper, glassine, envelope they come in so they'll never yellow. And they're numbered and signed, limited edition. And because we do them ourselves, we get to offer them at an affordable price on the web store that he built for me. I'm so grateful, which is
clarecooley.com/shop.
You can tell who the technical one is between us. I have trouble remembering my own shop name. clarecooley.com/shop.
Yes.
And
as you can see here, you can scan the QR code in the bottom corner here. There we are. That'll take you right to Freedom Flight, which is the piece of art that we used, that she chose for the cover of her book, Incandescence, Rising Above Darkness. So original art by her. And if you scan that QR code, it'll take you right to the print, and you can choose large, medium, or small.
And we'll show you after the 3 stories, we're going to get right into excerpts from them. We'll show you what the large print looks like. And I just want to say that I did not think of this piece of art for the cover. Bodhi and others suggested it, and I'm so glad they did. I think it's appropriate for Incandescence, Rising Above Darkness, a vulnerable woman rising above and being enveloped with love and light, and being able to be free of the heaviness that sometimes life, hands us, and we have to transform it and rise above it. So there we go. So that's also the first story I'm going to read excerpts from is called Sanctuary Under Siege. I'm going to read a little bit of the beginning and a little bit at the end of that story, and the next 2, In Search of True Beauty and Nomad Comes Home, story 50, 51, and 52. And so let's go for it.
All right.
So chapter 50. Sanctuary Under Siege. It felt like his unhealed abandonment wounds fueled his desire to control by withholding funds, information, even compliments. He eventually admitted in writing to competing with me. Perhaps he was threatened by the idea of my confidence or social circle growing. Maybe that is why he silenced me. Fear tries to control and love tries to support. I believe if those close to us do not care about our feelings, then it is our duty to move away. Struggles of epic proportions can happen when a narcissist and an empath get entangled. Tales of vulnerable, trusting people without legal rights or resources standing up to a person with the money and legal might and prevailing are far too few. What we go through is interesting, but how we get through it can be inspiring. Some lose what is most important to gain money or power. I won what is most important, self-respect and the respect of the honorable. By following luminous self-love out of the darkness of disappointment, I am living in the light. My dearest dreams are becoming real because I found the courage to embrace the unknown and leave behind the disappointments of the sanctuary under siege. Chapter 51. In search, I'm sorry, let's start over. In search of true beauty. I've lived in more than 35 different places, including a tent, a teepee, out of my tiny Renault Dauphine car, and in an abandoned building. Someone who heard a story I told about a time when I had no home said, "You were homeless." I had never thought of myself that way because I've always been kind and helpful, so I had people offer me shelter when I needed it. But when my longest relationship dissolved, no one really understood my need because I'd lived in a huge house with big views for nearly 2 decades. I'm grateful for every step of the journey that got me to safety and serenity. I believe appreciation is a great gift we can give ourselves. I went from broken by the betrayals of trust to human kintsugi, the Japanese art form of putting objects back together with golden joinery better than before. It was dawn on the rim of the Grand Canyon when the magnificence filled me with true beauty. The grandeur of the natural loveliness humbled me. My heart was overflowing with the mystery of the unlikely world in the vast universe. In the presence of such splendor, my human struggles dissolved. Witnessing how the great rock walls were cut by patient water reduced me to my essence. I felt an understanding that the constant water of kindness can cut through the hardest rock of remorse. I would no longer be diminished by anyone. My time as a wandering nomad settled in that moment as my joy returned and I saw true beauty all around me. The last chapter of my book, 52, is called Nomad Comes Home. After 20,000 miles, 40 states, and a year on the road, staying in 100 different places, we agreed on a place to make home. Pouring rose, jasmine, and lilac scents into tiny perfume bottles from my travels was the extraordinary in the ordinary. This unremarkable event is worth remarking because I finally have the space in my life to do something simply because it delights me. The nomadic family I was born into flowed around the United States from the desert to the sea to the middle of the country, then the Northwest and back to the Southwest. I did what children do, followed my family. Nomads keep moving, not necessarily because they wish to, but to survive. They are looking for a safe place like everyone else. At 17, I set out on my own, first to the desert, then the Southwest, then the Northwest, then Northeast, searching for sanctuary. During my wanderings, I returned to check on my family, but only my mother ever felt like home. After leaving the place where I raised my family and thought I would live for the rest of my life, my adult son Bodhi and I set out to search for where to call home. We rested in nature and restored ourselves, taking in the true beauty all around us. We took video, photographs, wrote, and drew. One day, Bodhi said, "We're a good team." I agreed that our different skills and perspectives made a powerful combination. I was delighted to combine our hearts, minds, and creative energies when he asked me to work with him. I said yes, and he named us Mother Son Productions. Consciousness can be a source of torment or a reservoir of strength. I want to do something with the consciousness I was given. Embrace the gift of life and find what I have that helps others, no matter how difficult the path. It is not what we believe that matters, it is how we act. Let me live an admirable life. May I rise above my challenges, turning my adversity into advantage. Post-traumatic stress into post-traumatic strength, so I can share my best with the world. I'm grateful for all the lessons of my father's dark sadness, as well as my mother's loving light, and all the grays in between, guiding this nomad home. Thank you. So let's do a question for, shall we show the art first? And then we'll go to the questions that were sent in. So first there's an original. There's art between every one of my stories because creative reverie is where I replenished, and that's what I want to share is not this is what I went through in my memoir and got through and rose above, but this is how, by finding my happy place, which every child loves to create. And a lot of us have lost touch with it because of criticism and competition, but it's still there. And so I want to inspire and help through any information I have to help people rekindle their enthusiasm, their curiosity, and give themselves permission to create and explore. So that's why there's art, and it's almost all based on natural harmony is what inspires and replenishes me. So moments of meditation, just to let go and take in the beauty that's all around us, and appreciate it and respect it and live in harmony with nature and each other. So here's avocado seed in space, and here's feathers on the mat. Those are originals. And there's another original over here while Bodhi show you.
Let me show you on the screen here. I will show a close-up of avocado seed in space. Let's do that. Let me get this QR code out of the way. Look at that. So, yeah,
that you can see the original behind me to see how big it is, and that's the a photograph of the original on the computer, and as we've said, we make them into prints right here at the Emerald Lady.
All right, you want to show? And here's what's here.
Oh yeah, here's the original.
Okay, so yeah, it looks really good. I hold it up a bit for Instagram.
Okay.
Nice. And I'll show that.
And then there's 68 pieces of art in the book and 40 photographs of different sorts of creative things I've done throughout my life. And the 68 pieces of art, here's Eurasian crane flock at dawn. And this is the large print, numbered and signed, comes with a certificate of authenticity that we do here in our own studio.
Free shipping.
Yes, and here's the feathers on the mat. The original is here.
Then I'll show a close up here.
There you go. So all of these are available. And here's the book, which is available in ebook, print, color. I highly recommend. It's a couple more dollars than the black and white version. We make the same, but I recommend it because of 68 pieces of art in the book. So now you want to, we'll go to the questions, and then we're going to also share with you 10 blogs that I'm putting out. The 5 are already out as written text. And the first one I did in the last live read on everything from why write to how to self-publish, find a publisher, and promote your book. And, we can only share in what we know. And so I've learned by doing it, and I'd love to share what I've learned by doing it with you. So I have 10 topics from why write to promoting something you've already published, sharing it if you want to. So let's start with a question, and then I'll give you just an overview of each of those 10 blogs on writing.
Yeah. So we received an email question from Jim, and it's a question that we've gotten a lot in a few different ways. So I wanted to elaborate on it. Growing up with you, I've heard so many different times, your exhibitions and your showings and your performances and at your readings. I've heard a lot of people say you are the most creative person they know. And you are certainly the most prolific and creative person that I've ever met. And you're my mother. And so I've seen it very close. How does that happen? How did you get so creative, thinking about your upbringing and the adversity that you talk about overcoming through the book? How did that happen? It seems so unlikely that you'd be the most creative person that most people have ever met. So any thoughts on how you became so creative?
Well, I think that thank you for everyone who's said that and acknowledged me, and thank you for the great question and that have been sent in, and thank you, Bodhi, for acknowledging me like that. It's very humbling, and I believed from very young that I deserved to be happy because I want everybody to be happy. Even people that have hurt me, disappointed me, whether they meant to or not, I still want them to be happy. And so I believe I deserve to be happy. And I gave myself permission to find things that helped me be happy. And kind of the harder it was, which is another choice I've made in life, which is find the good in things. I call, writing our novels, not just my memoir, but Bodhi's written his novel, a sci-fi thriller, Northport, 1999. But writing our books, and he's sharing his on Patreon with his members. We self-published my memoir. So the silver lining of the COVID cloud has been having this time to focus on these huge projects, and now the sharing them with you through these live reads. And I have a policy of not only I get to be happy, I deserve to be happy, I want everybody to be happy. So what makes me happy is creating. I love creating. And where I feel peaceful is nature and contemplating nature and natural beauty in people, in the woods, on the beach, in a field, where, you know, insects, animals, birds. And I have a particular affinity for birds, and especially cranes. I think because they fly and they get this incredible perspective on the earth. So I discovered very young, and my first creative expression was dance, because I didn't need anything but myself to do it. And I was inspired by the nature all around me as my source material for my choreography, which was, of course, very rough and spontaneous as a little girl. But I discovered creating was a happy place. And perhaps the good of having so much struggle as I've had, and less than some people, more than other people, but I've had struggle. And the good in it is I needed my joy producing creative reverie place. And I found it young because my mother was an artist, perhaps, and exposed me to great art and art museums and other artists. But also I, you know, had this urge to dance from very young, and it made me feel peaceful and alive and happy. So I've just kept going. And so one of the other things, finding the good in everything, is not feeling safe in school and not going to school and having such a dysfunctional family. No one really noticed, and we moved so often. The truancy officers didn't catch up to me till I was 14. Allowed me a lot of time to pursue what gave me joy. So the downside of not going to school, the upside was I had my own way of learning, which was observing nature, and my own way of restoring myself. So I call myself chronically creative. My brain is always playing with creative projects, and that's what I love to fill my life with. So that is part of, you know, why I guess so many people say I'm so creative and prolific, is I've given myself permission, and my adversity I've turned to my advantage by allowing myself to be creative, and for the joy of it. I don't need to, well, impress anyone else. I, of course, love to move people and to be appreciated. Who doesn't? But my main motivation is happiness and health.
That's great. And Kathy Cato said on Instagram, agree wholeheartedly with Bodhi's comments, your creativity.
Thank you, Kathy. And I love that I got to help Kathy after she ended her career in public health. She wanted to continue giving, and I got to help her as a creativity coach uncover her love for poetry, and we helped her. I listened to her and reflected back to her things she'd said, which ended up naming her business Honor and Comfort. And Bodhi got to help her make a website for it, which is poetry for those who have passed to comfort those who miss them. And I love helping other people as a creativity coach find what gives them joy and fulfillment by helping others. So that was a fabulous experience. And so shall we go to the
Yes.
let's go to the I'm just going to give you the titles and the briefest little snippet on my blog about writing. And as you know, anybody who's read my book or knows me knows I'm not academically educated. My education has been through listening to intelligent people and having a diverse, wide range of influences, and by doing. So I'm going to share how I did it, from why write to how to promote it, once you share it. And so the 10 blog posts are number 1, which was up. I read the whole little statement on that, that the last live read. So if you want to see that whole video, it's in the last live
I believe it
read.
was the second to last live read.
Second to last.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm teaching. I'm not a teacher. I'm a coach. I like to think of myself as a creativity coach. It's not the technical. There's many books on how to write syntax and grammar and thesauruses and dictionaries. What I have is an ability to encourage others, to hopefully inspire them, that if I could do it with the incredibly limited academic exposure. I didn't read a book till I was 21 years old, but my first book, I was inspired to do, painting all 15 species of cranes. I brought the design and the art to a publisher, and he said, you should write it, and you love the cranes and you know them. And I said, but I'm not a writer. And he said, well, you will be. And so I wrote the Book of Cranes as well as painting and designing it. And then so many people asked me to write my life stories, that they help them and they would help other people. So I wrote a book that's, it has 52 stories in it. And I love short stories. That's a natural format for me. But if I can do it with my limited technical training, academic background, I like to call myself the illiterate poet, because I've actually written more than I've read. I love books on tape. I love the human voice, but I'm not really well read. I'm a great listener, and I listen to everyone I'm around. And I have been gifted with many interesting and varied people in my life, and books on tape, as I've said, whenever I'm traveling. But if I can do it with my limited education, at least academic education, if I can give myself permission, you can give yourself permission to create, express, and share. So the blog course is my way. So the first thing I ask is, why write? And it's because writing is fun, focusing, and fulfilling. The second thing is, number 2 blog post is, what to write? The answer to that is whatever you wish. If it's for you, and if others enjoy it, all the better. Number 3 is, commit to complete. It's the way to get it done. Number 4, clarify continuity. Find and focus on the theme. So the 5th is, edit fearlessly. Be brave, leave out extra, and include the essentials. 6, functional feedback. Choose who gives you feedback carefully, and then listen well. Number 7, reflection and refinement. Consider the feedback, and while staying true to your goal. Number 8 is visual and audio design. Help the audience receive the work. Number 9, self-publish, ebook, print, or audiobook, or I'll talk a little bit about finding a publisher. Produce it into accessible forms. And the 10th is promote the book. Get your work out there. So now I'm going to read just a brief synopsis of all 10 of the 10 different blog posts, the way I break it down, the way I organize my mind and my life to accomplish something. I just gave you the 10 briefest overview. So now let me give you a little bit more on.
Let me speed it up. Let me get you to the right spot.
So he's telepromptering me to the right place. And while he's doing that, I will say that, again, this is my way. And what I feel I have expertise in is giving myself permission to create and hopefully inspiring, informing others on how to give themselves. That's still questions on what is creativity. You haven't gotten to the blogs yet. So where are they?
Okay, I have to get that for you because I got everything I thought we wanted.
Okay, well, I'm gonna, while he's doing that, I'm going to talk about the most important aspect is if we look at children, young children, they have no problem playing and inventing, and they never run out of ideas and ways to play with their toys or the environment or each other, because they're not afraid of failing. They're not afraid of being judged when they're really young. Most children hopefully have supportive adults in their environment that don't make fun of how they use their toys or their color or whatever. But some do, and they have those of us who live long enough, we're going to hear criticism, and we're going to hear people that are afraid to express themselves, and so they don't want to see the reflection of their fear in us. So sometimes they put us down to not have to look at someone who is free to express themselves. And if they can get us to stop being playful, spontaneous, extemporaneous, creative, imaginative, then they don't have to see an unpleasant reflection in us. So fear, jealousy, all that, need to feel powerful or influential can inspire people to criticize others. And most of us have experienced that somewhere, somehow, and that way they are now.
Yeah, right.
Okay, you have just the. Okay, so now we're going to start with just a little bit more on each of the 10 subjects before we end up with questions. So why write? There are as many reasons to write as there are people and writing projects. We can write for enjoyment, self-discovery, healing, learning, inspiration, information, entertainment, service, connection with others, documenting events, immortalizing people, holding someone accountable, and feeling purpose and fulfillment. So what to write? Choosing what to write can happen in as many different ways as there are writing projects. Writing incentives can range from necessity to inspiration. The type of writing is an important choice. The more allied it is to who we naturally are, the more flowing the experience can be. There are 24 types of creative writing: free writing, stream of consciousness, prose, ruleless, limitless, poetry form, free form, prose poetry, plays, which are words, movement, and set, speech, vignettes, scripts, song lyrics, storytelling, journaling, diary, letters, memoirs, nonfiction, journalisms, blog, honorable mentions, short stories, novellas, novels, journalism, letters to the editor, and marketing. So what we write is a wide range. So number 3, commit to complete. If we begin a writing project that we want to finish, we should commit to completing it. There are countless interruptions, distractions, and doubts that will come up. To finish any significant writing, we need to commit to completing it by continuing until we get there. To reach our potential, we must invest in it and accept that challenges will happen. We must keep believing in our self-worth to honor our promise to finish what we start by committing to complete. We need to accept we are the only ones who can get us to the finish line. 4, clarify continuity. The North Star of any project is its purpose. The reason for writing can be as simple as recording something we experienced. We can write as a way to discover what we have to say. Every reason for writing is valid and deserves our respect. We may need to write and rewrite many times to uncover the true essence of a piece. Discovering what holds the work together is its guidance system. Our intention for the writing is the map to get to the destination, which is a well-written, that can be well appreciated writing. Alliance to the essence that runs through it is what gives it power. Number 5, editing fearlessly. Staying aligned with the project's purpose is necessary as we refine and rewrite. Adding and subtracting words courageously without compromise is part of powerful writing. The goal we are trying to reach must be clear in order for the writing to be. First, we must ask, what is the reason for writing? The purpose we set out to fulfill sets the course like sailors navigating by the stars. 6, functional feedback. We must respect our efforts and potential and be the guardians of our enthusiasm. Take care not to let anyone with impure intentions affect our progress or confidence. The place our unique artistic expressions come from is delicate and can be easily disrupted by those who do not have our best interests at heart. Some are unaware of the unhealed wounds they carry and the pain they inadvertently pass on. We must protect our tender imaginations and our vulnerable confidence. No one is immune to negativity. We must have had negative, most have had negative, even cruel things said to them. Some do not try again after experiencing painful responses from others. It takes enormous strength and detachment to rise above the dark others may project on us. I constantly remind myself that people are unkind, not constructive, and not careful with their feedback. It is about them, not me. Let the unhelpful responses pass by like an unpleasant smell. Number 7, reflection refinement. To refine the writing we want to share, we must reflect on it, starting with its purpose and ending with its effect on others. My way is to first write whatever is on my mind before investing time in refining writing. I ask myself, might this help others by informing, inspiring, or empowering them? Is it worth the time required to perfect it? Sometimes the subject is a yes, but the writing is a no, so I begin again. Other times I believe the subject is worth working on no matter how long it takes to refine it. 8, visual and audio design. Naming the feelings we want the audience to have while exploring the book can help us design the project to elicit those feelings. Every writing project has its own spirit. Feelings inspire thoughts. So the more feelings, the more thoughts the work conjures, and the more engaging the work can be. Defining the most important things we want our readers to feel and think in order of importance will assist the design project. Aligning the project with the writing's essence unlocks its greatest power, authenticity. Beginning with asking what we want the reader to feel can give us direction on how to design the project. Colors, typefaces, text size, arrangement, empty space, photos, illustrations, and art all must support the project's purpose. Number 9, self-publish or publisher for an ebook, print, or audiobook. There's so many ways from self-publishing, which is the freedom, to publishing, which has the distribution and sharing of the choices and work. That's the advantage of a publisher. Sharing the work in a way that honors its intention is a journey. There are pros and cons to getting a publisher and self-publishing. Every project is unique, and the best way to share it has to be determined. And the last blog post will be promote the book. Ways to share the work, spread the word about the project first to friends, friends of friends, ever widening circles of appreciators, finding an audience who can appreciate it. Live or virtual events, live reads, public readings, book signings, podcasts, letters, emails, texts, and calls, social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, if they don't make it illegal, Twitter, press, news, articles, interviews, magazines, newspapers, ads on television, flyers, cards, or billboards. So those are just a brief overview of the 10 different blog posts that I'm going to put all 10 up, and 5 are already out there with more on each. This was just an overview. And the whole impetus for doing this, besides that I was awarded a grant to do it, and honoring that and appreciating that, is hoping to inspire you to share your creativity. The more we share ourselves, the more diverse perspectives, information, aesthetics, the healthier. Any ecosystem, the more diversity in it, the more health it has. So it's been scientifically validated. So same is true of humans. So share your unique perspective with the world, whether you want to write a historical, accurate or fictional, or it doesn't matter what you want to write. You will be sharing yourself if you write it, and that makes the world a richer place. So Now, are there some questions that?
Yeah, I've got some questions set up, and just so people know, you can find the blog posts on blog.clarecooley.com.
blog.clarecooley.com.
There you go. It's up on the screen now. And okay, so let's move on to we've got some questions collated here. And so what I've done is I've just listed really frequently asked questions and distilled them down. So 1, what is creativity?
Creativity is the place where we are free to explore our curiosity, express imagination.
Two, where does imagination come from?
Everyone is born with an imagination. The younger people are, and I've taught every grade from first grade through university and professional people, nurses, therapists, teachers. And what I observed teaching my own curriculum called Dancing into the Arts that interwove visual arts, movement, sound, and writing. What I observed was first graders and second graders they just had no problem. Look, today we're going to dance color. Today we're going to tell a story with our movement. Today we're going to draw to music. It didn't matter. They just went for it. They didn't have the fear of being judged, ridiculed, doing it wrong, being criticized. And starting in about third grade, I noticed that little girls thought little girls should do this a lot of the time, and little boys should do that a lot of the time. And perceptual rigidity started to set in based on fear of being judged. And the hardest people to work with were the most highly educated often, because there had been so many judging of them along the route to their higher education. And the easiest to work with, besides first graders and second graders, were people in the mental facilities that I worked with, mental health patients, the drug rehabilitation center, the juvenile delinquent hall, the humbled people, the people that didn't think they knew what was right or wrong, good or bad. They had been humbled by life, and so they were open. So what does that teach us? Stay open. No matter what you know, it's a teeny, teeny little crumb of the cake of the universe.
That's a good one. So, 2 common questions, kind of a two-parter. What enhances creativity? What decreases creativity?
Well, what enhances creativity is just enjoying it, playing, not judging ourselves, not allowing anyone else to hamper our creative expressions. Just enjoy the process and not need to prove anything to ourselves or anyone else, to just enjoy being in the creative flow. And that's, in my opinion, not only the most pleasant, healing, and helpful state to us and others, but I think it's where the best art comes from, is when we just, as the only writing workshop I ever went to with Alev Coutier, she said, my first meeting with this group, you have what all writers want, your own voice. And partly as part of the reason that I believe that happened for me is because of my dysfunctional upbringing and not really going to school. I didn't get shut down. And I had only myself to talk to. I didn't really have a conversation with a contemporary till I was 14 years old. So I had a lot of time to talk to myself and accept myself. And that's the asset of the difficulty.
Nice.
What hinders creativity, we've talked a lot about the other part of that question, which is fear of being judged, ridiculed, not good enough. And so anybody that puts you down, get away from them. You can love them from a distance, love them at arm's length, but when you're creating and when it's done and you're still tender and vulnerable, don't let them hurt you. Don't let them take away any of your inspiration to enjoy your own imagination.
Yes, good riddance to negativity.
Love them at a distance.
So, to paraphrase a question we get a lot, how can we harness our imaginations? Is there some magical elixir to increase our imaginations or get in touch?
They have scientifically proven that if we move, our thought processes are better. Doesn't matter whether you consider yourself a creative person or you want to be a creative person, which in my life I've heard so many people say they wish they were more creative. I think pretty much everybody wants to be more creative, even highly creative people. I know I do. So what harness it is moving. What harness it is giving ourselves, our ideas, respect, even if when we stop saying, well, that's a silly idea, or that'll never work, or any of those kind of negative responses, and we just allow ourselves to have ideas and validate them and record them. When Bodhi and I are out on what we call walk and talks, our exercise out in nature and out in the fresh air, and one of us gets an idea, we often text it to ourselves or voice record it so that we can look at it later. So give yourself credit. Some of your ideas will not be something you want to do. Some of them will be. Some of them will be good. Some of them will be, some of them will be great. And it is my opinion that, like anything we practice, if we practice valuing our own ideas, we will have more. And the more we have, the larger pool we'll have to pick from to find some really good ones.
Delightful. And so I'd say we got 5 minutes, so we can do a few more questions, or we'll see
5
how that
minutes,
goes.
sure.
I've got a lot of questions, Ed. So Pamela Carbon said, "It always amazes me how a so-called mistake, happenstance, can turn out magnificent."
Right. If it is my opinion, Pamela, thank you for saying that if we're learning from something, there are no mistakes. If it isn't what we thought we wanted to create, it becomes something else. Its own essence has manifested and it's showing us or teaching us something. I love to tell the story of Mama Bird, which is one of my all-time best appreciated images. While drawing her, I said, "You look like a pincushion, not a bird." But I had made an agreement with myself, which I highly recommend to others is if you start something, finish it. If you're getting frustrated, put it away till later and work on something else or take a break, but come back to it. Give yourself the credit. And so I came back to Mama Bird until I finished it. And now I love it. Other people love it. So at the time I thought, you know, she looked like a pincushion, not a bird. So we don't our imaginations, our inspiration, our creative ideas can come from such a deep place that we may not recognize them at the time. Give yourself the respect that it's coming out for a good reason. And don't judge it as wrong, bad, mistake. Let it be what it is and learn from it and learn to enjoy it. Just like people are diverse. If we could only appreciate one kind of person, what a poor reality that would be.
And in our last 2 minutes here, should we do one more question, or you want to?
Well, let's make sure people understand that even though this is the 15th live read from my memoir, then the next series of live reads are going to continue on Saturdays at 2. And it's going to be it's always going to be about creativity with me, because that's who I am. That's what I know. That's what I have to share. That's what I think other people can get something healing, life enhancing out of. So every Saturday at 2, there'll be something about creativity, and I want you to know that I'm going to keep it going. And in fact, the next grant is about how to promote your own work, your own writing work. So we'll be talking about that for sure. And we may be stenciling in front of the camera. We may be, who knows what we'll be doing, all kinds of different creative projects. And I really love connecting with you this way. And I really appreciate you being here, and the Minnesota State Arts Board for giving me this grant. And the next grant, is it the same? Minnesota State Arts
National Endowment for the Arts and the Minnesota State Arts Board.
For the next series, and starting on Saturday at 2. This is the last one about my memoir specifically, and about writing, and the blogs are going to be continuing to come out, and the videos and all of the live reads are recorded on incandescencebook.com or YouTube, The Creativity Show. You can send in questions that I'll address as I can in the next live read, live stream, virtual visit Saturday at 2. And I really appreciate if you tell other people, because I'm not good at promoting myself and I'm not good at asking for help. But I wrote this book to help people, because so many people have told me my stories have helped them and will help others. And so spread the help, spread the hope by telling people that it's out there. And if there's someone that would really appreciate it, that can't afford it, we'll figure out a way to get it to them anyhow. So please help me spread the word. And I want to be an example. This project, Creativity, is a healing resource for us as individuals, and a way to walk lighter on the planet, economical, ecological, in this time where resources are diminishing, population is increasing. The more we can do for ourselves, the more we can create instead of just consume, the better it is for the planet and all of us. So I want to be an example of organic success, because we care about each other and we care about our world. We tell each other about things that help increase the harmony in the world, and that's my mission. So Thank you so much for being here and telling others and reaching out. I love hearing from you. It really fills my heart with happiness.
All right, well, take a bow. You did your 15th live stream on the series.
I'm very grateful and appreciative, and I really faced a lot of fear to do this. It's hard to get in front of the camera. It's hard to share your truth with the world, and I feel better, stronger for having done it. So I highly recommend that you share yourself with the world. The world needs us all.
All right, delightful.
Thank you so much for being here. See you Saturday at 2.
All righty,